Hello, and welcome one and all to the Brick City Brown Chick YouTube show. I am your host, the aforementioned Chick. For those who ask, Brick City is Newark, New Jersey, my beloved hometown, where I was born and raised. And the Brown Chick, well, hopefully that part is obvious. On this show, we talk everything. We talk politics, we talk race, we talk music, which is my personal favorite, fashion, trends, whatever is on my mind that particular week, that is what we'll be talking about. So whether you found this page on recommendation or if you're an OG and you've been here for a while, I welcome one and all to my world, the world of the Brick City Brown Chick. Hello, one and all, and welcome to episode 2, season 3 of the Brick City Brown Chick YouTube show. I am your host, the aforementioned Chick, and this week for our current events topic, we are going to discuss the war against Black women. And make absolutely no mistake, this is a war. Watching this administration for the last 8 months dismantle and destroy not only what they perceive as DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion, but also their war on woke, which has now turned into a war against the Smithsonian Institution, has been absolutely bonkers. It does not surprise me that we are here at this particular point in time. However, it does disgust, amaze, frustrate, and anger me and piss me off because these people have no morals. They have no historical understanding. And when you get right down to it, they don't give a damn who they hurt. And as I watch most of America sit back and sit on its hands and say nothing, and watch the MAGA base applaud this nonsense, I have to speak loudly and clearly about what is happening to Black women in America and make sure America understands that bad things for Black women ultimately mean bad things for America. And that is the disconnect that a lot of people in this country, especially white people and especially white men, don't get. So what specifically am I talking about? We've watched this administration remove Carla Hayden, who was the first Black person and first woman to be head of the Library of Congress. We've watched her removed. We've watched the attempted firing of Lisa Cook, who is the first Black woman on the Board of Governors of the Federal Reserve. The president fired her. She said he had no authority to do that, and so she is suing. Good for her. And just last week, we watched this incorrigible, petulant child of a president revoke the Secret Service detail of former Vice President Kamala Harris. So Joe Biden, in the waning days of his administration, signed an order to extend Kamala Harris's Secret Service detail from 6 months, which is standard for vice presidents, to 18 months. So her Secret Service was not expected to end until approximately 1 year from now. last week, the last week of August, the president announced that her Secret Service detail would be canceled as of September 1st, which I am taping this on September 1st. So he gave her less than 1 week's notice and gave the Secret Service less than 1 week's notice. Now, the first thing that I found disturbing about this story, besides the actual story itself, is people's reaction to it. Most of the comments I read said something along the lines of, well, if she was only entitled to 6 months, then she should only get 6 months. And I don't understand what people are upset about. And I don't understand what all the outrage is about. Like, people don't understand that she is A, the former vice president, B, the former first woman vice president, C, that she is a Black and Indian woman, and D, she has gotten very specific threats from some of these crazy MAGA people who literally want her head as a trophy. So acting like this is just a normal circumstance is ignorant, stupid, and racist. I'm just going to call it what it is, because that's what it is. And also, this is not a precedent-setting event. Other vice presidents have had their Secret Service detail extended because of threats, because of national security, because they've had crazy stalkers, or whatever you want to call these people. This has all happened before. So for people to now act like, oh, well, he never should have done this in the first place, that's crazy, is insane. And like I said, it's also racist, because when you get right down to it, that's what these MAGA people are all about, is being as racist as they can possibly be. So thankfully for Kamala Harris, the state of California and the mayor of Los Angeles have stepped in and said, no, we got it, federal government. If you want to play petty politics with our person, our former senator, our former attorney general, we will step up and provide the protection ourselves. So the California Highway Patrol is stepping up and will provide protection for Vice President Harris as she begins her book tour for her book 107 Days, which is about her run for the presidency last year. So watching all of this play out has been incredibly disturbing. In addition to knowing that 340,000 Black women have exited the workforce since this president was inaugurated. So in the last 8 months, more than 300,000 Black women have exited the workforce. I said this a couple of weeks ago, and trolls sent me comments about, how do I know those numbers? Because it came from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. You know, the woman that the president fired because she told him the truth and didn't sugarcoat it and didn't lie and didn't give him BS? Yeah, that's where that number came from. Then the trolls wanted to argue with me about, well, we don't know why those women left the workforce and we don't know all the stories and all the specific details. Here's a news flash. I don't need all the specific details. Considering this president has to date fired nearly 200,000 federal employees. Let me repeat that. 200,000 federal employees are out of their job. I guarantee you a lot of those people were Black women, because Black women statistically in the federal government work at a much higher percentage in HR. HR departments were cut. In DEI departments, we know those were gotten rid of. In EEO offices, equal opportunity employment, those were cut too. So let's not play this game that we don't understand what's going on, because we do, or at least those of us with brains do. This has been very open and very clear. And as I said earlier, watching most Americans just sort of whistle, or to use a classic expression, fiddle while Rome burned, is absolutely disgusting. America has now become a place of, I got mine, you figure out how to get yours. The hell with you. We don't care. We don't care if you're here legally and you get deported. We don't care that you've been a good employee for years and that you're now getting fired. Oh, well, we don't care that scholarships and money are being taken away from colleges and universities because they have tried to provide for people who are not white and not male. We don't care. I keep hearing MAGA people or former MAGA people talk about how much they regret the way they voted. And all I can say to that is spare me the bullshit. Just spare me. You knew exactly who and what you were voting for. You decided that the racism and the sexism was perfectly okay as long as he was going to lower the price of eggs and the price of gas. And oh, by the way, has either of those things happened in the last 8 months? Absolutely not. So you knew what you were voting for. You did it. You got what you voted for. Have the day you're voted for. Now that all this is coming back around like a boomerang and affecting you, by the way, like all of us, including Kamala Harris, told you it would, now all of a sudden you have regrets. Spare me the bullshit. I am a 55-year-old Gen X black woman. I lived through the 666 devil that was Ronald Wilson Reagan and George Bush Sr. and their welfare queen bullshit. I lived through all of that. I know what these people are like. My concern is for my millennial sisters and my Gen Z sisters who have grown up in an America where Barack Obama was the president for 8 years, where they thought that their fellow Americans were on board with treating them equally and giving them the chance to prove themselves. They have now woken up to the reality that that is not the case at all. That given the choice, America will always choose racism. Always. And I don't want to hear the BS of not all America. I don't want to hear it. Because this last election proved that America is going to be racist until its dying breath, which may not be much longer as we know it, given the authoritarian tendencies of the person sitting at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. So I want everybody in the sound of my voice to get real clear. This war that is being waged on black women in America is going to come back. And I'm not telling you it's going to come back by the hands of black women, although that might be the case, but it is coming back louder and stronger than you have any understanding. Because what happens to black people in America is a microcosm of what is going to happen to the country as a whole. There's this old saying in the black community that goes, when white people get a cold, black people get pneumonia. Yeah, that is what's currently going on. And it is not going to stop at the border between Black America and white America. That's the disconnect that white people in America have. They somehow think that the bad things this administration has planned for people of color will not come to them. But that's not how it works. America is totally integrated and interconnected. And you can't just say, we're going to do these terrible things to Black and brown people and think they're not going to affect white people too. That is a delusion. That is a fallacy that white America has clung to for generations. So Black women today, I tell you, get your armor ready. Be prepared. So far, the things that have happened have mostly happened to famous Black women. And I'm not worried about them because they have the resources to protect themselves and do what needs to be done. My concern is for the rest of us, how we cope with this, how we deal with this, how we're going to move forward in our everyday lives and jobs and missions. The 8-ball has always been stacked against us, and now it's being weaponized against us. So we got to be prepared, we got to be clear, and we have to have a game plan. I want to thank everybody for listening to me this week. I look forward to seeing you next week for episodes 3 and 4 of season 3. If you are not subscribed to this podcast, there is a subscription button just under my head. Please subscribe. Please pass this along to friends and family who you think would be interested in my content. And I look forward to seeing you again. Take care.